Now, I would like to welcome on stage Ina, led by Sarah and her colleagues. I'll let you introduce your colleagues. And we're all old enough, I think, in this room, or most of us, to remember DVDs. Do we? Yeah. So that's what we'll be talking about next.
Hello, everyone. So I'm going to quickly reintroduce. Oops, yeah, I'm shorter than Charles. I'm going to quickly reintroduce myself. So my name is Sarah Vandegeerde, and I am head of audiovisual operations at INA. Audiovisual operation is the department where we do digitization of film, video, radio, and also off-air recording of TV and radio. So today I'm going to present you our new colleague, Migramann. He's a superhero, not the Marvel or DC kind, but more the the French version from Brittany, to be precise. That's why there are two N at the end. I won't be presenting this on my own, but I will be helped by my two colleagues, Stanislas Defawes, who's head of off-air TV and radio recording department, and Guillaume Seznec, who's a software engineer, multimedia media systems, and who's actually the person who brought us Migramann. So Stanislas and Guillaume made a video that was shown at the JTS in Australia earlier this year. And so throughout this presentation will be me showing some slides and walking you through the project. And then there will be some videos, some parts of the videos that Stan and Guillaume made. So, but first, a short recap of what is the Institut National de l'Audiovisuel. So INA was founded in 1975 when the French government decided to liberalize a little bit the media, because before there was only one French TV and radio, which was ORTF, and they divided into like 6 different entities. So 3 TV stations, 1 radio station, 1 entity for production, and 1 for everything infrastructure related. And the day before the vote, they realized that there were some departments that didn't know where to put them. So these departments were the archive department that had existed for 20 years, the training and education department, and the research department. So, because they didn't know what to do with them, they put them all together within the umbrella of a single entity, which became INA. During the 50 years of INA's existence, it grew to do other activities, some of them about like providing expertise and consultation services in France and internationally. And in 1995 as well, it became responsible for ensuring the audiovisual legal deposit in France. Now I will let Stan tell you more about this, if I know how to play.
In 1992, France decided to establish a legal deposit for radio and television. This law considerably expanded the historical scope of the French legal deposit, which had until then only covered written documents and film recordings. These collections were historically held by the National Library of France. From January 1st, 1995, the INA, National Audiovisual Institute, was entrusted with implementing the audiovisual legal deposit. Each television broadcaster was required to record the programs covered by the law on Betacam SP tapes before delivering them to the INA. The INA's television technical department, which was equipped at the time with automated tape robots, then copied en masse these Betacam SP onto SVHS tapes. The SVHS were then made available to researchers at the INATEC. Linear TV recording and its digital preservation was at first impossible, primarily due to prohibitive storage costs. This was not the case for radio programs, which are much lighter. As soon as 1995, INA started linear recording of Radio France's 5 radio stations and copied the file onto CD-ROM for preservation and access. Programs were acquired at 8 MB MPEG-2 files, which were stored onto SDLTs for long-term preservation. From there, 1 MB MPEG-1 viewing files were generated and copied onto DVDs at the rate of 3 DVDs per day per channel. The scope of INA's offer recording program expanded over the years, and the institution is now preserving and making available to researchers 200 TV and radio channels that way. Over 400,000 DVDs were generated during the first decade of INA's offer recording program. These archival carriers, which are not built for long-term preservation, urgently need to be backed up. INA initiated for this reason a 4-year project to migrate the files onto LTOs, store the tapes within the INA's digital preservation infrastructure, and make the programs available to researchers at INATech. It is within this context that Migramann, the software for processing, queuing, and tracking these migrations that we present here, was developed.
So yeah, so just to give you in a couple of numbers, what our off-air recording program is today. So today, INA is archiving over 30 million hours of TV and radio program this way. It is acquiring 24/7 200 TV and radio channels. And we add 1 million additional hours of content to our archive every year. And every day we send 16 terabytes of data to our data center. So that's over 1 petabyte per year. The project, as Stan explained in the video, is a little bit wider than just the DVD one that we're going to see today, because there are different categories of carriers that we have acquired during these 10 years. So we have the DVDs, the main one, that's the one we have more or less finished. And then there are different types of DVDs that require some adjustment. We also have some SDLT and LTO tapes. You see the acronym VIS, that stands for viewing copies, and CSV for conservation copies. So this is the number of carriers we have in total, then the number of hours of content it represents, and how many terabytes it is total. So the objectives of the project are several. So first of all, it's ensuring and making sure that we can preserve the content long term, because at the moment, these DVDs, what's on the DVDs only exists on these DVDs. So we have 2 sets of DVDs, but still DVD not being an archival carrier, there is a big risk to them. Second objective is to make the content available to researchers at INATech and also in regional sites. Also, we are, together with this project, we also have another one that is about transcribing automatically all the 30 million hours of content to improve searchability of the fund. And finally, to do data analysis on this large collection, and you can find some of them on the website data.ina.fr that has been online for 3 years now. The project is it's a cross-disciplinary project, so it involves different teams of the Institute. So the core team, who are, if you want, the product owners, speaking in IT term, of the project, is the technical team. So it is led by Stanislas, and we are very lucky because in the managerial, so there are 3 managers in that team, and 2 of them have been working at the legal deposit since it began in 1995. So they do know the collection by heart. Then there's a dozen technicians who are then the users of Migramann and the different tools. And to make this project happen, they work together with, on the one hand, the Vault team. So they are the people who are in charge of the actual DVDs and all the physical media that we have. We have also a team of 3, I call them field software engineers. So they are really the engineers who are going to develop the tools that the technical team needs. So they are the ones who build Migramann, but also Migrate DVD. That's the tool that will allow the déchargement. When we migrate the actual migration of the DVD, and a third tool to do the validation and then delivery of the DVDs to of the data of the files to our DPI. And then there is another team of engineers who are in charge of the digital preservation infrastructure. So just to present you the project quick. So this is going to be a presentation of the workflow.
Significant work to the in-house vault technicians who are required to optimize the delivery of DVDs to our robotic migration lines. Since the DVDs were initially stored in cardboard boxes to limit their exposure to light, meticulous handling was carried out to create batches of 1,100 DVDs, each representing a year's broadcasts from a single television channel. These batches were then packaged in trays of 100 DVDs to facilitate loading onto our robotic units. Simultaneously, we established a process with the media storage managers to arrange for the remote download of the second copy of the media located in the National Library in the event that the delivered batch of DVDs was incomplete or one of the discs was physically damaged. After receiving the DVD batches, the second phase of our workflow consists of migrating the media files in 1-hour segments and renaming them based on in-house standards before ingesting them through Migramann. For this, we have kept the robots that we were originally used to print said DVDs. It was essential to keep a large number of robots to anticipate the work we are doing today, because these robots are no longer commercially made. It was also necessary to have the skills to repair them and have the ability to 3D print spare parts too. Migrate DVD is the first software building block to handle the carriers. It is an application designed with 4D software, allowing interface design and information exchange with the robot on its serial port. The first function of Migrate DVD is to validate the consistency of the DVD by consulting the metadata file recorded on the media and to alert the operator in case of error. The files are then renamed according to our current protocol before being sent to Migramann for further processing. When downloading DVDs, if a copy turns out to be too damaged to be read by Migrate DVD, we have acquired a polisher to maximize our chances of recovering its content.
So before the engineers started working on Migramann, the technical team set out some requirements. So the first one was, of course, to be able to have an automate large-scale migration workflow with as little manual intervention as possible. The second one was to ensure full traceability of operations so that we would be able to go back if there was an issue that would be noticed maybe later, to know who was the person who had done it, if in case we had to ask questions, and also to know exactly where we were and at which stage, which is a question that often gets asked by our direction. The third requirement was to implement a robust QC and validation process. The QC is more a declaration. I mean, it's mostly a declaration because a lot of errors were actually during the recording process, so there isn't much that we can do. Sometimes files can be incomplete, and in that case, there is a semi-automated process of repairing them. Fourth point was to integrate it seamlessly within the migration chain. So there is, as was explained, like a migrate DVD first, and then after it goes to another software that validates the file and then send them into the DPI. Of course, given the numbers of DVDs that we have, the idea is to have really work like in industrial volumes. And finally, for monitoring purposes, there are different user profiles that have been created. So administrative one for the engineers, more like monitoring one for the managers, and more like standard user one for the technician, with each profile having different, being allowed to do different things on the app and having different permissions. So here, Guillaume will introduce you the result.
Migration server first verifies that the incoming file is indeed expected, TV channel and date referenced in a collection. On that, the DVD batch is assigned to a technician. An automated process is then performed on each media file. This process consists of re-encapsulation in MPEG-TS without transcoding, metadata extraction using MediaInfo, and then a quality control check that calculates file duration or detects silence and freeze. If an anomaly is triggered, additional analysis files are generated, such as an audio spectrogram. Given the number of files to process per batch, 8,760, representing the number of hours in a year, an automated file validation process is in place, though the technicians can only focus on problematic files. Their primary role is to verify the batch's completeness. No time slot should be missing. If an error occurs, they must try to read the backup DVD and, if necessary, report the missing media or file in the database. Once the batch is verified and validated, the delivery to HSM can begin. It takes place between the migration server and the central LTO robotic, which is redundant across multiple locations. It lasts several hours to transmit 5 terabytes. This is a network transmission using SFTP. The command's returns code is checked, the MD5 checksum is calculated on both the sender and destination sites, and an asynchronous HTTP acknowledgement system informs of the actual write operation to the tapes. These verifications are crucial because they determine whether one of the 2 DVD copies can be decommissioned. The web interface, therefore, has several clear objectives. Fill the initial data, such as the list of television channels, their start and stop recording dates, and every quality control thresholds. Allocate DVD batches to technicians, real-time monitor data incoming from the DVD unload units, view the quality control report and investigate any diagnosed problems, play media files.
I'm going to quickly present the database. So the database is used so that we can track the material, at which stage of the project each DVD is, and also it helps us keep records of what has been done.
One of the main components of the Migramann project is its relational database. We needed to create a database to store the metadata of the content we had to process and track all the steps of the migration, which media were read, which files were checked, and whether they were successfully and securely delivered to their target destination. The main entities in the database are collection. A collection is a period of continuous recording time for a given channel on a given type of media, which allow us to have some volume statistics. Support, the physical medium that contains the files. Fichier, the hourly file that belongs to a specific medium. Delivery, for tracking the delivery of each file with a predefined acknowledgement protocol. The records in the database can be very large and dynamic tables, over 1 million rows. This is why we applied the principle of sharding for better horizontal scalability. This also facilitates backups.
And of course, this project needed a certain infrastructure and some servers that were kind of temporary storage that are used as temporary storage before we while the files are being processed and checked before they are being sent to our DPI. So I'm gonna skip this presentation, this part of the presentation, and just to give you an update of where we are. So today we have migrated 265,000 DVDs. That represents a little bit over, it represents 1.2 petabyte of data and 95 TV channels. We have, in the meantime, we have also developed a website, that's an internal tool that helps us say like what has been migrated, because it's a question that keeps coming back from different departments of INA, from legal deposit, what is available for researchers or for use. And so here it's by collection. So by on the left, you see the different channels, and then they are separated by tab. So because depending on the year, the files can be either on DVD, on LTO, on SDLT, so it depends. So this helps us follow the progress of the migration. And now what we have left are like the more difficult edge cases. So in early 2001, there were some DVDs that had been kind of forgotten when we defined the scope of the project because the 7 national TV channels also exist on SDLT, except for a couple of months in the early 2001. So that's why it was very useful to have people who were there at the time and remember them. Also DVDs from late, like 2008, 2009, they were encoded in MPEG-2 and not MPEG-1 like the other ones, and so we need to adapt a little bit Migramann before processing them. There are also DVDs that are that exist from like pre-off-air recording period, and so this is not like a continuous stream of file, but more like different programs, and so we still have to make like more general decisions about whether we will just migrate them as different programs or also create a whole stream. And finally, there's a collection of DVDs between 2009 and 2013. It represents 100,000 DVDs, but they were already copied onto LTO tapes, so that's only a bit over 300 LTO tapes. And now we are in the second phase of developing a workflow for LTO migration. And that's it. And please, as archivists, do not forget these old formats. And thank you, Migramann, to rescue them.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Now, we do have a minute for questions for Sarah. A very quick one. I assume all these DVDs were recorded in the way they could play normal DVD consumer players, yeah. So not like files that are standard MPEG to transport stream. Yeah. So it's standard everything, and yeah. Okay, yeah. That helps as well.
There's a part actually in the video presentation where that I didn't have the time to show here, but where Stan explains that actually at the time they made sure still to buy like actually the best quality DVD that existed on the market, so they didn't get like cheap ones, and also and same for the machines to make the DVDs. They used Pioneer machines, and there was also a very strong like QC check at the time, and that's why you can still play quite easily the DVDs today. We've had little issues.
Thank you. Thank you. One question from Laurent.
Two quick questions, curiosities. As they are DVD, there were any consideration about preserving the image ISO of the DVD instead of the files inside? And the other question is, did you have any checksum of the DVD content at the time of recording the DVD?
So at the time, I wasn't there, but they did do a lot of QC. I don't know if they were doing checksums at the time they were recording, probably not. But now there is a checksum, MD5 checksum at every stage of the process. But imaging, no, that wasn't considered because here the interest is more about like accessing the content and making it viewable. So that's why this solution was adopted. Yeah. Okay, right. Thank you.